Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up podcast. My name is Cameron McCulloch-Keeble, and how are you, Lewis Crawford?
Doing well, hello.
Hello. How has your week been?
Yeah, pretty chill.
Good, good. This is Games Up podcast, brought to you by World Geekly News. We publish every week, and we start this show as we do every week with an indie game of the week for you. Now, Lewis, this one is a little bit weird. This is a mobile game.
Ooh.
We very rarely have mobile games on this show because we just don't play them a lot. But this week I started playing after sort of stealing time from my girlfriend for a long time on a game called Fairway. It's actually called Fairway Solitaire by Big Fish Games on mobile. And basically it's a solitaire card game, but the whole trick of it is that the quicker you complete the game, the better a par you get. And the game has a whole kind of golf theme behind it. And what I really like is that it's quite, it's a fairly passable game. You can sit down and play a few seconds of it here and there. But it's addictive gameplay, and the money-making bit of it is very subtle, very cleverly put in. It never feels like it's intrusive to the game. It feels like I've downloaded an actual mobile game that I can keep on my mobile for a long while and get something out of. So Fairway Solitaire by Big Fish Games, I would highly recommend you go and have a go with it.
Yeah, I can back that. I've by all accounts completed that game.
Have you actually played that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Played and by most accounts completed.
I've started signing into it to get the daily bonuses. Big fan.
You see, I a long time ago got it as part of a Humble Bundle, so it's I have like the premium version.
Ooh, get you.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the news. The first piece of news this week is that Red Dead has scored one of the biggest openings in entertainment of all time, second only to its bigger brother, GTA 5, earlier this generation. Red Dead Redemption earned $725 million in its first couple of days. In fact, I think that might be first day sales on any consoles, on any platforms. And this is sold through, not sold on, so this is sold to retailers rather than specifically sold through to customers, I believe. That's pretty big.
Oof, for sure.
It's huge. The thing is, I listen to quite a lot of gaming podcasts, and a lot of people were predicting that Red Dead was not going to sell GTA numbers, that it doesn't quite have that pull. And the whole time I was thinking, no, it's got that pull. Like, it's a Rockstar game. At this point, anything from Rockstar's got that pull. And it's missing that pool by 75 million, but in a pool of 800 million, that's not a lot.
Yeah, crazy numbers. You have to wonder what's the next GTA is going to do, for one thing.
So did you read this thing the other week that they said that GTA 6 basically couldn't work right now?
Oh, no?
So we didn't report on this last week because it was kind of lost in a flurry of things. But basically they said that in the time of Trump and mass murderings and gun control in the USA, bringing out a GTA 6 right now would just be a tone-deaf move. I don't think we're going to see GTA for a bit.
And you said this is from them as well?
Yeah, this is from Dan Houser fairly recently.
Wow. So that's
yeah,
really interesting.
It's a big thing. Like, it's also really interesting to see them have that maturity about the franchise, because the franchise itself is not mature. Like, you know, it's all about murdering hookers and Pisswasser beer and all that. Like, it's not all that smart. But the company that makes it clearly understands the impact it has. It's really interesting to read about.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if this is maybe them kind of laying the grounds of telling their fans there's something else coming.
I hope so, man. I've been rooting for LA Noire 2 for a decade now. I'd love that game.
I will say, so I've been playing a lot of games that have like investigation as part of them.
Mm-hmm.
The Call of Cthulhu game that just came out has that kind of, looking for slight details and finding certain things. And I think when LA Noire 1 came out, it had that, but it was still that, in a old genre and kind of a long time ago where it was maybe harder to do things in a kind of exact way.
Mm-hmm.
And playing all these games now, I'd be super up for LA Noire 2 and like very subtle kind of investigation stuff that they could do with it.
I think for me, what held LA Noire back is the format of it, the fact that it was episodic in cases. If it was a kind of combination of LA Noire's ideas and core gameplay with Red Dead structure, like if I was RPGing as an LA cop, and I could choose to be a straight cop or a bent cop, I could let people go. I could be crooked. I could take deals on the side, or I could investigate like an upstanding member of the law. That would be really interesting. I love LA Noire, the first one, because the world that they built, I think, is really, really unique. It's got this really interesting character to it, and the history that they portray is fascinating. And I'd love them to do that on new technology.
Yeah, for sure.
So, news piece number 2 this week starts some of the news for BlizzCon, but you won't see it end until our topic of the week. The second piece of news this week is that Hero 29 was announced for Overwatch, and they also announced that they have 6 more heroes in development. Nothing surprising to those of us who play Overwatch, but nice to know that there is that support there for the future of the game. Hero 29 is Ashe, spelled A-S-H-E. She's a Western gunslinger. I wonder why they brought that out at this time, right? She's a Western gunslinger with an ultimate called Bob, who's an Omnic, and she has an animated short with McCree and this, that, the other. She's great. You should go check her out. She'll be on the live game in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
In terms of the esports side of Overwatch, South Korea was crowned the winner of the Overwatch World Cup this year. Surprise, surprise. But in big upsets, Team UK knocked out the second favourites for the tournament, Team USA. So well done, Team UK. You did a real good job. You were underestimated for a lot. And that was some of the BlizzCon news. We'll get to some of the rest of it later on in the show. News number 3 this week. Hideo Kojima visited Valve, and it probably means nothing.
Yeah, it's I follow Hideo Kojima on Twitter, and just the amount of stuff he posts of like his friends and people he knows in the industry, and just stuff he gets onto on a daily basis. It's not even surprising really to see him at Valve with Gabe, because often he's just like talking with movie people, or I don't know. It's a crazy Twitter. If you ever, I recommend following it.
If you want to know why Death Stranding isn't fucking out yet, it's because all Hideo Kojima does is go and socialize.
Yeah, he's crazy at social. Yeah, so this raises all the thing. It confirms all the theories I had that Death Stranding is actually Half-Life 3. It's happening.
Yeah.
You could kind of tell watching the trailers that it was very similar themes going on. So yeah.
Yep. Death Stranding is confirmed to be both Silent Hills and Half-Life 3 both at the same time.
A combination you never saw coming.
The gameplay is just going to be you walk down a corridor with a crowbar endlessly. There's no ghosts are in it. You just keep walking down a corridor with a crowbar.
Yeah, and it's produced by Konami all this time. It's all happening.
The truth is out there, man. All right, news item number 4 this week is that Super Smash Brothers had a direct, and it was. Man, it was a direct for sure. There was some stuff there, but that was about it. To give you a bit of context on this, a couple of weeks before the direct, a big thing came out called the Grinch leak. Lewis, do you know the Grinch leak?
No.
So the Grinch leak.
I do, but yeah, go on.
So the Grinch leak, basically, there was somebody working for a marketing department in France. The marketing department of this company were also the department of a company marketing. God damn it! I've said it twice.
Okay, right. No, let's just get back on track.
So
they were all working for the marketing department.
Fuck off. So they were all working for the marketing department of this company, who were marketing the Grinch film that comes out around Christmas. And somebody leaked a photo of the final lineup picture of Smash. And apparently it had a bunch of characters in it, including this person and that person and Banjo-Kazooie and the other. And the thing that gave the leak away, supposedly, was that in the background of the photo, you could see a picture of the Grinch's dog that then got released a week later as marketing for that film. So people went down a whole rabbit hole of, this is a real leak, this company is real, they're doing marketing for Capcom, this, that, the other. The person who works there doesn't work there anymore. The company took the leak down. Oh my god, it's all real. We're getting Banjo in Smash Brothers. Nope. We're getting a piranha plant, people.
Ah, the piranha plant. Never saw it coming.
Do you know, I like the idea that Nintendo were like, right, okay, you guys found this out, so we'll just cancel all of that.
Yeah, to be honest, it's really crazy. Like, the fan speculation about these characters has been, well, something else if we're starting to look at like Banjo as a potential character. And then, yeah, Piranha Plant. Piranha Plant.
I mean, I feel bad. I've seen a lot of people putting out this week that, like, the people who work on it must be super bummed to see all these rumors and leaks that are not reflective of reality in any way. And yeah, okay, it's a big thing to expect Nintendo to go out of their way and work with Microsoft and get Banjo. It's not as absurd as it was a few years ago. There's a lot more collaboration between the first parties, but yeah, it's still pretty absurd. I do think Nintendo are a little bit out of touch with reality about what people want out of a Smash Brothers game. Like, Piplup from Pokemon as a spirit or whatever the fuck that is great, but like, it's not going to make me pick up the game. And maybe, maybe a couple of other of the DLC characters and all the modes together, you're making a really good case for the hardcore Smash Brother player, and that's what you really want to focus on. But I do think there's a little bit of kind of a disconnect between Nintendo and their fans. Nintendo have made a very good business for the last few years of serving their first party very well, of here's every Mario character doing something, here's a Luigi game, a Yoshi game, a this, that, the other game. But Smash has always been very good at reaching out to other people and reaching out to third parties and being the bridge between the wacky world of first party Nintendo and everyone else in gaming, and this doesn't quite feel reflective of that.
Yeah. I think we'll see a lot of stuff come out in the DLC. I reckon that they can use all these suggestions as a breeding ground for ideas.
I think the thing that got a lot of people was that if they had Banjo or somebody else, it would have shown them to be working with first party for the first time in a while. Like, that would open the doors to so many other characters, like Crash, who people have asked for a long while, like Spyro, which would have made sense with that game out in the next week or so, like some of the characters from other Capcom games, Konami games. Like, it would have been the breaking down of walls that we'd be hoping to see over the next few years. And I think the fact that it turned out to be Chad the Piranha Plant instead of Banjo-Kazooie maybe reinforced how actually unreal that vision of the future might be for a bit. And it's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
And then your final piece of news this week. Oh no, sorry, second final. Hitman Absolution and Hitman Blood Money have been rated for PS4 and Xbox One. Now, Lewis, something that really concerns me about this is that both of those games are backwards compatible on the Xbox One, which makes me think that there probably isn't as much of a market for a remaster right at the end of a generation as there might be for some other things. What do you think?
Okay. Interesting. I can see it obviously having the market on PS4, and I wonder whether I don't know. See, that it does make it interesting, doesn't it? Well, maybe they're. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
See, I could see it being something like they're not a remade version. They're just a slightly fancier, maybe 4K version of the game that's added to Hitman 2. Maybe they're the final episode of Hitman 2. I know the game comes out all at once, but maybe they add some episodes a bit later, and the last one is, look, here are these games that you loved from the previous generation. But it does seem a bit odd to add these remasters at the end of a generation after they've rebooted Hitman. Like, Hitman's managed to stand on its own in the last few years with this new business model, and it doesn't feel like they're going to be respecting that a lot if they just shit out onto the consoles. Look, here's another remaster.
Yeah, that is true. I think there is a fair argument to be made that I think both Blood Money and, well, not Absolution. But I know Blood Money at the very least is sort of it was a PS2 game, I think. I don't know if it actually originally if it ever came out on the Xbox.
It did.
The original?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, no. So I do think there's a fair argument to say they're more popular on Sony consoles.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's kind of a weird one. I think maybe you've got the right kind of idea though.
I mean, they're both fan favorites. So there's
Yeah.
something in that they're doing. They're talking to their community in terms of here's the things you love. It would just be nice to see them do that in terms of new content rather than games that have been out less than a few years at this point.
Yeah. I'm very fascinated to see what happens with the new content as well. Anyway.
Yeah, true. So before we go into our topic of the week, we have a couple of cleanup stories. Saturday, 6 days after the day that you'll be hearing this, hopefully at least when the show comes out on Monday, we've got XO18, which is probably the big last major press conference of the year. It's an Xbox conference that's happening in New Mexico, and they've been teasing a bunch of stuff for it. Do you think we're going to see anything big, Lewis?
Oh, we've had long conversations about this, and
We have.
Ooh. See, I don't know. The problem is that I think each time we've been hyped up for an Xbox thing, we've come away and just been like, "What the hell was that?" Like this whole generation, that's kind of the response to Xbox, and I can see it happening again. Oh. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
I mean, you're totally right. Like, every year we've been like, this is their E3 to win, and they've won it by default rather than being like, whoa, that was amazing. There's some interesting stuff that's floating around at the minute. There's obviously a lot of stuff that people can't tell apart from the Game Awards as well. The Game Awards sounds big this year. There's a lot of rumors going around. A couple of weeks ago, we reported on the Metal Gear Solid teasing that might be going around. We're still not sure what that is or isn't, but hopefully we'll find out soon. The other big one is Borderlands. Borderlands started teasing Borderlands 3 this week, unofficially, but they started updating the Steam databases for Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel with what looks to be a new DLC. People are saying that maybe we'll get that, and then you play through that, and that in turn announces Borderlands 3, which I think would be really interesting. The content is for sure there, and it's gone through like 5 or 6 QA patches at this point, which is quite big. It's not just skins. So something's happening with Borderlands, we're just not sure what.
Are we going to see things? I think Game Awards definitely we're going to see a lot. Like last year was one of the best kind of things of the year, I think. There was a lot of stuff there, and it was like 3 hours long and tiring, but there was a lot of stuff there. So I think we'll see something there. XO, I just don't know.
Here's the big question: do you think we see Xbox Scarlet?
No.
No, I'm with you. You're totally right. There's no way we see Xbox Scarlet.
I just don't think that there's any way that Xbox are going to be the first to come out of the gates. I really don't.
I think they might be the first to come out of the gates. I don't think it'll be yet.
Yeah, there's that too.
Like, the only way I could see them showing off Xbox Scarlet would be if they show a kind of Scorpio trailer for it, where they're like, it's very powerful, it might do VR, it has more power than this, that, or the other, and then it's a new Xbox. Like, they're not going to name it, they're not going to put a price on it, they're not going to show us what the box looks like, it's going to be nothing of anything that's helpful or descript in any way. So
and I don't know if they gain anything by announcing it now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sorry.
It's okay, you're being hit by the yawns as well. So yeah, next week we'll react to XO18 and we'll start to kind of make some suggestions about the Game Awards. Whether it's our topic of the week or not will depend on how big it is. But keep your eyes peeled, because it might be huge, who knows? Or it might be medium-sized. We'll see. Until then, an announcement that was fairly big, but for all the wrong reasons this week, is from BlizzCon. So our topic of the week this week is that Diablo has gone mobile, although it's not exactly what people wanted. After many years of waiting, Diablo fans got the news that they had been hoping for. A new Diablo game was coming out, but it wasn't actually the news they'd been hoping for. Diablo Immortal is coming to mobile rather than any of the main platforms, and it's not the next in the series of Diablo games. This has been met with quite a lot of negative responses. The hardcore Diablo players are suggesting that Blizzard are leaving them behind by going to mobile platforms, whereas Blizzard themselves has said, "We told you that it wasn't Diablo 4. We made it clear before BlizzCon that this wasn't what you should expect." And the director of the game has said that people should calm down with their responses, that they should not be particularly acidic or acerbic with it. Lewis, what do you think of this? Should Diablo have gone mobile?
I have no real problem with it in itself, but at the end of the day, like, you have this conference for all the mega massive fans of the game and the series, and you kind of build up that some cool news is coming. And I think, like, there's not a single mobile game announcement that's actually gone well. Even
Except
something
Fairway 2, am I right?
even something that's like incredibly well received now, like Hearthstone, initially was met with complete vitriol. And the Command and Conquer game that we got at EA at E3 this year, similarly, was just a dead moment. And it never goes well, guys. Like, I think maybe if they'd had like a soft announcement at the end for Diablo 4 or something, like Bethesda, where it's just like, yeah, okay, there wasn't much this conference, but look, a still image of the words of Elder Scrolls 6.
Now, I'd like to correct you there about the Bethesda thing. Excuse me, they had Andrew WK, all right? You watch your mouth. No, I get what you mean. I think it's BlizzCon this year is weird because there wasn't a lot that really could be announced. Like, in terms of Overwatch, nobody's expecting a particularly big change to Overwatch. Like, there's a new hero and some new, little QA quality of life changes, but nobody was expecting anything big. We're used to that being the cycle for Overwatch. Hearthstone is cool, but nobody was expecting Hearthstone 2. World of Warcraft 3 is getting a remaster, which is actually probably the biggest news, but nobody was expecting the next Warcraft game. And I think Diablo is probably the only thing they really had to sell the conference on. Like, this is the next step in Diablo, and it might hint towards what Diablo 4 is or the direction it's taking. But I feel like it's a disconnect between a marketing department and the actual devs of the game. One trying to make a cool game that's something new for Diablo, and the other trying to make it seem like, guys, you really need to care about this.
Yeah. And I think we see it a lot these days with the marketing maybe getting it wrong on these kind of things. Mostly because I think often the market for these games isn't necessarily the people who are the kind of massive mega fans.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, Hearthstone is not played as religiously by the people who are into Warcraft. Right? Like, I play Hearthstone quite a lot. I play it a few times a week, 4 or 5 times a week in at work a lot, and this, that, the other. But I don't play it. I don't play Warcraft with any kind of care or religion, whereas the other way around might also be true. And yeah, I may actually be more likely to pick up Diablo Immortal because Diablo seems like quite a big, hefty series. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing I might have the time to get into these days, but Diablo Immortal being a mobile game, I've got time to put into a mobile game. But yeah, you're totally right. The audiences for the two are totally split, and marketing to one to attract the other is never going to work.
Yeah, and I think that's really the core of the issue with this is that, these aren't the ones that want the mobile game. They're not going to be sated by that. And I think also just announcing a mobile game live on stage is just not something that's ever going to go down well in general. Like, maybe there needs to be like a mobile conference sometime in the year, but as it stands, like, It's just that we kind of always expect this big hype and big, AAA super games from these conferences and from these people. And at the end of the day, mobile games are never in that kind of category.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think the only way that a mobile game could be of that category would be if it were willing to shit the bed and come out entirely on mobile. Like if they announced at XO18 that Borderlands 3 is out and it's only mobile, that would be huge, but huge for the wrong reasons. And so to that extent, you're entirely right. Of like Diablo, I don't know that it ever could have come out and said we're on mobile, whether it be Diablo 3, Diablo 4, Diablo this, that, the other. I don't know what they could have done to get people to be okay with this.
I think it would have to be like a joint announcement along the lines of like, we're bringing you a Diablo 2 remaster, and for those who want to play Diablo on the go, Diablo Immortal. Like, that would work, in my mind.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that there was a lot of kind of discussion of a Diablo 2 remaster happening of late.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why this has been met quite badly in general. It's just the combination of these rumors about Diablo 2 and Diablo 4 and all of this going on, and then at the same time, it's like you come with that expectation, and they had the trailer for it's really quite funny because it's this really action, like all mobile game advertising. It's got this really action, like live action, or really hyper super CGI cutscene where there's like fighting all going on and it looks amazing. You're like, I want this game, and then it comes out and it's like mobile game, and it's going to be like one of these pixelated, old school looking games. Just in general, mobile advertising is terrible. Just a sidebar here.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's either super action that doesn't reflect the game, or it's Kate Upton taking a bath in milk, and I'm like, what does this have to do with midgets fighting?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, a question I want to put to you based on the topic this week is that, in light of the response to it, the director of the game said that people need to kind of be more respectful and calm with their criticisms. Now, obviously, criticisms online always go to the worst. They always, there's always arseholes on Twitter being arseholes on Twitter. But do you think there's a good way to complain about these things to games companies who are kind of versed in that arseholiness? Do you think there's a way to be a measured customer in this?
Oh, yeah, it's a difficult question. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can't. People are maybe taking it too far and being, dicks about it. But I think in many ways, you need to kind of attack the. What's the right way to put it? I'm not going to say greed, but it's like that's where someone's gone. We can skin this mobile game, or we can make a new mobile game. We put loads of like capture stuff in it and gambling mechanics and all that kind of thing. And I think that's the problem, is that people attack the developers, but they're not the people who are at fault. And I should say that I'm kind of assuming some things about this, and it's possible that this game is entirely faithful, and it's not got any sort of mechanics that make it like that. But I'm assuming that it will. But in terms of, is there a good way to complain? Yeah, sure, complain with your wallet,
See, I'm always torn about that, because the complaining with your wallet thing, like, I don't know whether that works. Like, if something doesn't sell if something doesn't sell really well, then it won't be remade. But that's not necessarily you complaining with your wallet. It's lots of people all at once. I kind of think that the way to complain about these things is just as a normal person. Like, is instead of saying, this is the worst thing ever, please make change, please do better, is just to say, hey, like, I'm not sure that I'm into this. Is there going to be another one in the future? Like, I think it's just about responding to it in a measured way and saying, this isn't my thing. Is there going to be my thing down the line? Like, have you stepped away from people?
like there's a good way through it and just being like as a community going, this isn't what we wanted, as opposed to like, screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah, I mean exactly that phrase. Yeah. So do you think you'll play?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
So do you think you'll play Diablo when it comes out?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not. I actually don't have much ties to the series, so I can see myself kind of playing it without kind of comparing or contrasting to other things. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I think I'll play it, and if it's good, I'll probably keep it. It depends really if it's anything different from a load of other games that are on there.
Mm.
But if it is, and it manages to keep my interest, sure.
Yeah, I'm super with you. I think I'll give it a go. I could see how it could very easily be an amazing thing or very easily be another one of something I've played many times on mobile, but I hope it's the former rather than the latter.
Yeah.
And if it's not the former, I suppose I'll delete it, won't give it any money, and hopefully Diablo 4 will come out for the people who want it, and I'll be perfectly happy with Overwatch, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the latest episode of Games Up Podcast. Thank you very, very much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. We are brought to you by worldgeeklynews.com. You should go and look at worldgeeklynews.com. I wrote 2 things for them this week, one about the new Overwatch hero and one about South Korea winning the Esports World Cup. The Overwatch World Cup, sorry. You should go and look at both of those things. Until then, I'm also running an event this week. If you are in Birmingham or the surrounding areas and you want to learn how to get into film journalism, Empire Magazine are coming and doing a masterclass at the place I work. You can find me on Facebook or Twitter where I'm advertising it. Please come along. We'd really appreciate seeing you there. Other than that, we will see you next week when we post on Monday. We publish every Monday at 6:30 in the evening, and much, much earlier that day on iTunes, so you can catch us on your way to work. Feel free to subscribe to the show on any of those platforms so you don't miss it, because we publish a lot, and we'd love to see you there. You can also like it so we get out in front of lots of people, and you can find us on the socials. We are at Games Upcast on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, iTunes, and Twitter, and we will see you next week. Sorry for all the shameless plugs. Bye. The Game's Up.